and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here and you didn't know, I am Latvian. I've lived in Latvia my whole life, but for some reason I don't really make a lot of videos about Latvia, which is very weird because I am very patriotic. Not a lot of people know this, honestly. I've seen many different types of videos on Latvia on YouTube. There's the Geography Now video on Latvia, which is hilarious. I love when foreigners pronounce Latvian words. And then there's like history videos, and then there's vlogs and Riga and all different types of videos. But I never really see these kind of videos, like just talking about what it's like to live in Latvia. I don't know if they're just not recommended to me or if they don't exist. I don't know. But anyways, today I'm going to talk about what it was like growing up in Latvia. And I didn't grow up in a city like Riga. Riga is a huge city. It's insanely big. And many people live in Riga. I live in the Kurzeme region of Latvia. It's quite hard to go back and forth from Latvian to English to Latvian to English, but anyways. And I grew up in a small town, so my mom always worked really late to support me, and we lived with my grandparents, so I'd always go on so many different types of trips with my grandparents, and we'd go everywhere in Courland. But we wouldn't really go anywhere outside, only ever to Riga, or with my parents we went to like Ligatne once. I actually filmed that. I'll link it somewhere. I don't know. We'd see different types of things. Like in Kuldiga, there's the widest waterfall in Europe, and it's amazing. And at certain times of the year, I don't know when, fish jump out of the waterfall. You could see them, and I remember being so young and just being there with my grandparents and getting real close to it and just watching the fish. It's really cool. I haven't seen it in so many years, but there's also a bridge right there, and we'd also stand on the bridge. But I've always been very afraid of the heights, so of course I wasn't right next to the ledge. I was like a foot away from it. There's also like an ice cream shop there. It wasn't really only for ice cream, but little me, of course, only got ice cream there. And I'm not sure if it's still there. There was also a playground there with a swing that went out into the mountain. So like, I'm not making sense here. So basically, the place is on a hill, and like below you can see the waterfall, and the cafe is right on a hill, and the swing goes over the hill, and that's the coolest thing ever. It's probably a hazard, but it's awesome. And so I just sit, swing there, and eat ice cream. That was the life. That was the best. And I'd also walk with my mom around my town, and there weren't really that many shops. Interesting, like we never really had any cool shops, cool clothing shops. Never. So we'd always go to Riga, shop for clothes at least once a year, because Riga has everything. Riga has all the cool shops. Riga has H&M, Reserved, New Yorker. It has everything. Only recently, only like this month, a shop opened up with cool clothes. This month, it's 2020, and only now opened up a shop with trendy clothes. This is absurd, man. I've only bought a couple of things there, and one of them is like a weird candle holder, which has the world maps on it. And like, the Europe map is insanely pictured. Like, Africa is in Europe. Like, it's so crazy. Okay, whatever. I'm getting off track. But yeah, we'd go shopping there. And in my town, we had a lot of American stuff. And we had different types of ice creams and everything. Because I grew up in the 2000s, so we did have a lot of stuff. But we didn't have everything. I don't think we had McDonald's back in those days. But then later on, McDonald's was there in the mall, at least that I went to. I have no idea when McDonald's showed up. But every single year when we'd go to Riga, I'd also get McDonald's, and that was so fun and awesome. And I'd always love doing that. But by far, my favorite store in the mall is Janus Rosa, which is a bookstore. It has so many cool things. It has toys as well. It's my favorite spot in the whole mall because it has so many different types of English books. I love that shop. It's the best. I remember I had many different types of toys. I did have Barbies, cars, and some other trendy things. And I noticed that we always had things late because when I was a kid, I still remember seeing VHS tapes everywhere in the stores. Up until I was like 10, they still were in stores. And DVDs, of course, these were the 2000s, the stores were full of DVDs. And so many shops here have changed, and no shop is exactly the same anymore. Except for one mall, which is because not a lot of people go there. And on top of it, there's a little food court, and there's a pirate ship. And little 5-year-old me loved that thing. It was so much fun, even though you couldn't really do anything in there. It was still fun. It was a pirate ship, okay? It was fun. And we'd also go to a local park and just walk around. And Latvia is full of forests, so of course we'd go to the forest as well. One tradition in Latvia is that people go mushroom picking, and I loved doing that as a child. It was really fun until I found creepypastas, and it wasn't fun anymore. And that really made me scared of forests. I was scared of forests as well as a child, but a lot more when I found those stories. It really freaked the hell out of me. And then I found true scary stories, which most of them, to be honest, aren't real, but still. That scared me a lot as well. And I don't like going to the forests at all. They're honestly pretty creepy, because they are so big that they're so dark. And like one certain spot is light, but then deeper. It's so dark and creepy and scary, and no thank you. In Latvia, we have many different types of holidays. We have the old traditional holidays, and then we have the mainstream holidays that have come in from foreign countries. And the traditional holidays don't really get celebrated. There's the holiday miķeļi. I don't even remember how to... Then there's mārtiņi. I have a book here about like all the holidays. Miķeļi, mārtiņi, Christmas, metiņi, Easter, and Jāņi, and those are like the main holidays. But we celebrate other holidays like Halloween, which is not an official holiday, but everyone celebrates it. Everyone. But I didn't go trick-or-treating as a child because Latvians don't really like speaking to strangers. Latvians are very reserved people, and my mom would always be like, where would you go? You don't know anyone around here, so where would you go trick-or-treating? I wish I went trick-or-treating as a child. That would have been so much fun. Then we have like Valentine's Day, which people celebrate as well, which I hate. Because, I'm single, and I'm not even, I don't really care about the whole dating thing. I don't care if I get a boyfriend at some point or if I don't. I don't care at all. Honestly, I don't. And then the first holiday is, Easter, and I don't celebrate Easter. My family does, but I don't because I'm not Christian. I'm an atheist, and my family is very mixed. It consists of atheists, pagans, and Christians. And in Easter we just paint eggs, and my grandma would hid candy for me. Yeah, and we'd roll eggs and then egg fight, hit each other's eggs, and the one whose eggs break is the loser. That's a weird tradition, honestly. This book that I have here of the like traditions is weird and wonky because little me decided to watch the book. Kids are stupid, man. Kids are stupid. I'm just gonna talk about Jāņi. Jāņi is the summer solstice holiday. It's on the 24th and... Wait, no. Yes, it's on the 23rd and 24th of June. And we'd make flower crowns for the girls and women, and the men would get crowns made out of birch leaves. It was really fun, and we'd sit around a fireplace, eat pierogi, which is a Latvian pastry, which comes from Russia, but still Latvian version of it. And in English they're called bacon rolls, because they have bacon in them, but don't be fooled, it's not the bacon you think it is. It's like thick bacon, and it's hard. It's not as good as American bacon, man. I don't like Latvian bacon, but I love pierogi. And like, everyone sing songs and drink beer and eat food, and that basically is Jāņi. And I wouldn't really honestly celebrate Jāņi that much. I just sit at home and draw a drawing, and that's all I do on Jāņi. Because like, I didn't really care. I don't really care too much about that. Sometimes I just don't want to communicate with people. Miķeļi, alrighty then, here we go. In the book, miķeļi. Oh, it's the autumn solstice. Okay. You just eat, and we don't celebrate this holiday, so that's why I don't know anything about it. Yeah, mārtiņi, and this is the holiday that's similar to Halloween, but no one celebrates because Halloween is cool, and that's why everyone celebrates Halloween, because it's a Western thing. Basically, in mārtiņi, from what I remember, you dress up in animal costumes that are a tad bit creepy, honestly. And you'd go to like your neighbor's house or something, and then you'd be let in and you'd eat food. I've noticed that mostly Latvian holidays are just food. In Latvia, we do have many different types of traditional foods. I don't eat a lot of that stuff. It's like people would always eat like this weird fish thing. Sīķis, I think it was called. I don't like seafood. I think it's gross. And then we have rosols, which is also a Russian thing turned into a Latvian thing. I guess you can say it's like a vegetable salad. It has, like, the main things are pickles, cucumbers, peas, potatoes, eggs. Then you'd have like the meat, and there's also a version without meat and a version with carrots, and you'd chop it up finely. You'd put it in a bowl, put some mayonnaise in it, and my family adds some sour cream as well. And sour cream is a thing that every Latvian household has, because every Latvian loves that stuff. And then you'd slub it in there, and boom, you have rosols, which is really tasty. And then we have kefirs, which is old milk, and I don't get it either. I don't get why people like that stuff. I don't like it. Honestly, I don't know if I don't like it now. I didn't like it as a kid. I'm not sure if I don't like it now. And I'm not gonna try it because I'm lactose intolerant now, so that would probably not be good for me. Then we have like rye bread, which is a harder, darker version of white bread, which is made from different kind of ingredients, and this is actually really tasty. And I've seen many videos where foreigners try rye bread and they are always disgusted by it, and which is wild to me because I grew up on that stuff. I love that stuff. Yeah, another thing about Latvians is the like languages. Like Latvian, of course, like speak Latvian, and that's the language here. But a lot of Latvians speak Russian because we have a big Russian Latvian population because of the USSR, because Latvia used to be in the hands of USSR, under USSR, I don't know how you'd say it, but Latvia regained its independence in 1991, and that honestly wasn't even that long ago. Like, my mom lived through that time, and like, it's so shocking to us in the younger generation. Like, we don't get that. We don't get what it's like to live during a war. they lived through, I can't even imagine what it was like to live in a country that wasn't even your own anymore. That's so shocking. Like, my mom told me that they weren't able to sing Latvian songs. They'd, like, in the basement in the dark, they'd sing Latvian songs quietly. It's just so shocking. In history, we had taught this stuff a lot, and they are frank. They tell us everything, all the gory details, and I'm honestly happy about that they don't try to hide anything from the students. Everyone knows all the dark things that happened in Latvia. And talking about dark things, now I'm gonna talk about like the crimes here. And that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. As a child, I grew up thinking that crimes didn't exist. And I'm not joking. Believe me, I'm not joking. I wish I was joking, honestly. Because, like, this stuff never really got talked about when you're a kid. You don't get told this kind of stuff. And on the news, I guess it sometimes was on the news, but I never really watched the news anyway. And when I watched the news, I've watched it like twice as a child, and one time there was a dead cat on the screen, and another time it was about a hockey team that died in a plane crash, and those were traumatic. So I guess dark stuff did get talked about in the news, but no, me being a child, I always thought news was boring, and I grew up loving like the crime genre. I love reading detective novels and all those kind of books, and I love listening to true crime podcasts, and as a child I loved watching Cobra. I watched that show when I was 4, and that's a cop show. It had so many gruesome things. My mom probably should not have let a 4-year-old watch that, but I loved it. It was awesome. Also watched Medicopter, which is an ambulance show. It is fiction. They're played up, but they have a lot of bloody scenes. Never scared me once. I was a weird kid, honestly. But yeah, I love that stuff, and I'd always hear about like murders happening in America, but I'd never hear about murders happening in Latvia. So that's why I grew up like not thinking that they existed. But then later on, I learned about like these things that have happened in Latvia. Like, a history teacher told us about how in the news like website, there's this news website, I don't remember what news website it was, like at the front is like, oh, it's just that mundane, boring stuff, but when you scroll down, it's gruesome stuff. Like, and she told us about a case where a man just walked into a kindergarten and murdered so many kids, and that was shocking to me and so eye-opening, because I did not know things like that happened here. And I talked about this kind of stuff with my friend, and she was like, yeah, I grew up the same. I didn't know murders happened here as well. And you hear about like a lot of kids going missing, and like we get told to be careful of strangers because there are so many people that just kidnap kids and catcall people. There's like, this is a problem that we definitely have, because I have also been catcalled once, and I was like 13 years old then, and that was so shocking because that had never happened to me before, and that was also so degrading. I absolutely hate people who do that kind of stuff. It's disgusting. And Latvia is not perfect. They also have made so many gangs in like Riga, and so many drug problems in schools. Like, Latvia is like any other country. It has so many problems as well. And another thing that I'd like to talk about, like growing up in Latvia. As I mentioned before, I grew up in the Courland, Kurzeme region, and there are 5 regions in Latvia, one being Salia, which is not on the map at all, but if you'd go there you'd know it exists because on the radio it gets mentioned a lot, and like people, they say they're from Salia that live there, which is honestly crazy that it's not on the maps anymore. Besides that, there's Kurzeme, Latgale, Zemgale, Vidzeme. There's also Vidzeme, right? And all of these regions have like different dialects. Some regions even have their own language, because like I think it was like Zemgale that has the Zemgalieshu language, and it's so interesting. we have the Latviešu dialect. We cut off a lot of words. Like, there's a word par, which is about, and Latvieši. And our people would say things like pa. They'd cut off the R, and they'd use a lot of like sh. We have ah, which is an A with a line above it. There are also other ones. We have quite a lot. And they're called garumzīmes. So that translates into garums means length, and then zīmes means sign. One thing you're probably wondering if you are new to my channel is like, what is up with my accent? Because to a lot of people, I don't sound like I'm Latvian, and that would be correct if you're thinking that I don't sound like I'm Latvian. I used to have a Latvian accent when I was a child, and I honestly love being able to communicate in English so well, and I think English hearers can understand me a lot better like this, and I don't even know how to do like a Latvian accent. When I hear a Latvian accent, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a Latvian accent. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and goodbye. Miķeļi? I'm so stupid, I don't even remember how to fucking pronounce it. Oh my gosh, Amanda, you're Latvian, how the hell do you not remember to pronounce the fuck? Kad es runāju latviski, izklausās ļoti citādāk. When I'm speaking Latvian, it sounds a bit different, because you can see that it sounds flat, doesn't it? I don't know how to explain it.